Welcome to this beautifully renovated 1942 home in Raleigh, North Carolina, and the setting for the new cooking series, The Stories We Stir. Today's recipe is a really unique appetizer that looks elegant, but is awesome because it can be pre-made in advance. Hang with me, I know it's gonna sound crazy, but we're making beet-pickled deviled eggs. These are super delicious, they look elegant, and they are always a great conversation starter when hosting. They also are really easy to make ahead of time. So the night before the party, you can easily prep and make all of this in advance so that it's super easy when you're actually hosting. The Stories We Stir is a series where we are cooking and having conversations while doing it in an incredible location while having amazing guests. And if we haven't met before, my name is Kristen Sproul. I'm a real estate agent and home enthusiast who firmly believes that good food and amazing design ought to be shared. So let's get cooking. We're gonna get right into cooking this super awesome recipe. So the first thing we're gonna want to do is use these really vibrant beets to create the stain for the outside of the eggs. We are going to combine 3 cups of water. This is actually my friend's kombucha business. I love supporting. So because it is pickled, it does have a little bit of apple cider vinegar in it. So we're gonna pour a cup of apple cider vinegar to 3 cups of water, as well as a bit of salt. This was 1 teaspoon of salt. Let me see, or maybe 1 tablespoon. We'll find that out later. Not to worry. The recipe is gonna be linked below, so I'm not stressing. And then of course, the beets for the added color for the pickling. Let's see if I can not make a mess. Beautiful. And we have a powerhouse of a stove here. So let's turn this bad boy on. Wow, she's powerful. So we need to let this simmer for about 20 to 25 minutes until the beets tenderize and the liquid is really vibrant pink magenta color. I already do have a pre-flavored and chilled beet mixture that I'm gonna pull out from the fridge. So we are gonna very carefully take your deviled eggs, and if you need the recipe to make the perfect deviled eggs, I'm gonna have that link down below. And this recipe is for 6 boiled eggs, which makes 12 deviled eggs. And so we're gonna combine the simmered beet mixture with our eggs without making messes. And so the goal is to have the eggs fully submerged in the beet mixture, and we're gonna stick it in the fridge. Now, depending on the vibrancy that you want for the eggs, you can leave it in at a minimum of 2 hours all the way up to about 6 hours. And that's gonna make it more infused and even more vibrant and a little bit more tangy because it is a slightly pickled mixture. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the fridge to chill. So these have been sitting in the fridge for about 6 hours. I did it before this shoot, and they are super vibrant. So I'm going to strain these. Okay, and then a little bit patting dry the beets so we don't make messes. Oh, look at this color.
Beautiful.
Oh my gosh, so beautiful. And it's good to shake the jar a little bit while it's in the fridge marinating to avoid getting, when the egg presses up against the side of the jar, it will leave kind of a little white mark, and so it won't be as solid and magenta as these ones are. Oh, these look so good. All right, now that we did the messy part, I want to get rid of the stained beets and wash my hands so we don't contaminate nothing. We are so blessed to be able to be filming inside of this incredible kitchen. This house was originally built in 1942 and was on the market for a little bit. At some point, Chelsea, with her eye for a great investment property, was able to come into this place and completely gut it and renovate, as well as add on some additions. So she is a powerhouse in the Triangle area as an amazing contractor and visionary as far as design goes to create something from nothing and really bring it to life. So I want to bring into her own kitchen Miss Chelsea Combs of Green Hill Contracting. Thank you so much for cooking with me in the kitchen.
Of course, welcome to our beautiful kitchen.
I know, thank you for having us. So we're gonna get right into cooking. I'm gonna put you to work.
Tell me what to do.
And then we're gonna kind of chat from there. So we're gonna share some of the responsibilities here by having you slice these eggs in half.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna kind of scoop out the guts. And while you do that, I kind of want to hear a little bit about this house that you did.
The story, yeah.
This house is incredible, and so I love the kitchen, obviously. I love to cook. But was this an original part of the house, or was this something new? Tell me a little bit of the backstory here.
Yeah, so this kitchen, actually this whole area here is all an addition, and all the ceilings throughout the house were 8 feet. So we actually lowered this area, and there's a massive LVL in the basement just so we could get the 10-foot ceilings and the height in here.
That's really incredible. And so when you're creating, or you're redesigning homes, do you take inspiration from what your clients are looking for, or are you kind of guiding them along in the process with what would be good for them for the house too?
I mean, kind of definitely in every sales call I go to, there's so many options, right? So I tell them I can guide the ship, but you have to give me a direction. We use Pinterest a lot, and our clients shared their Pinterest projects with me, so that way as we're going through the selection process, I can pull up their inspiration, so that way I can guide the ship.
Okay. And now what if somebody has absolutely no idea what they're doing? Do you have a designer on staff? Do you recommend they get somebody? How do you kind of navigate that?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the scope of the project. I am not the best at sizing cabinets and all that to where we do pull in a designer. If you're just doing a bathroom, then I really guide you through the tile selections and the paint colors and the vanity, all the plumbing selections, and try to meet the client where they're at. I think a big part of Green Hill and what I try to do is continue the flow of the home and make sure that it ties in with the home while also modernizing it. And
yeah, I mean, I feel like you can see that, at least in this house. It has a really unique exterior, which is classic for a 1940s home. But then you have these tall ceilings, you have the wood floors throughout, you have the open kitchen. So you're really kind of bringing, the vintage aesthetic and cultivating that, but then redesigning it for modern living.
Of course, and this home had a lot of warmth, right? So we wanted to tie that into the kitchen.
Okay, so you're gonna be doing these at your next party, by the way.
All right,
just so you know.
I mean, they're beautiful, why not?
Right? Okay, we got our lovely eggs.
Yes, beautiful
with
color.
This super vibrant shell. And this is kind of the creative part for me. I like to have a little bit of zing when I'm making my eggs. So, of course, like any deviled eggs, mayo. It's classic.
Are we using Dukes?
I'm using Dukes.
Dukes, of course. You always have to use Dukes.
Although I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like avocado oil mayo. It just has a different flavor that I kind of enjoy. But for this recipe, I went with the classic. And then of course, some Dijon mustard. But then my personal switch is I like to put a little bit of horseradish in it, just for a little bit of a kick. And this is kind of to taste. I got these super cute little spoons when I was visiting Sweden, and
they look vintage.
They're from a grandma in Sweden, and she gave them to me because I was like, these are so amazing.
Yeah, so
love this. Okay, so I want you to kind of like mush a little, and I'm gonna prep our next phase. Okay, so while you're kind of mushing up some eggs, can you tell me kind of what inspired you to start Green Hill Contracting?
I think it was definitely a combination of things. Prior to Green Hill, I had a career in recruitment, and I was doing that for about 10 years, kind of ended recruiting for Wall Street, but was fully remote, so I really missed that client interaction. So I wanted something that I could do that and just meet the client, learn the personality, create a relationship, and then also I was getting my MBA at NC State, so something to combine all those things. I've always loved project management and kind of seeing everything come to life. And then You know, being a fourth generation Durham native, just, you know, bringing more life, or like modernizing, but keeping the feel of the home, right? So like Kristen mentioned, the front of our home, you know, we added 2 little bump outs, but it really looks like the house did before. So you kind of come in and there's an addition on the back, but it still meets the community and meets the neighborhood, which a lot of our neighbors have enjoyed.
Yeah, I was just driving around the neighborhood before I came over here, and the different types of homes that you see in the street there's so much character. And if you were to lose that with this house and just bulldoze what, you know, could have been a really rundown home. I've seen some of the befores.
Yes.
I mean, then yeah, you can have a generic house, but I think there's a lot more to be said about actually putting the investment back into the house and renovating it and keeping that character.
They say kitchen and bathrooms are your biggest return on investment for sure. Obviously your kitchen is kind of the heart of the home, as they say. So being able to come home and cook a meal, or, you know, we hang out at this island, we do homework. Me and my husband go through proposals for my clients at this island. You want it to feel warm and inviting.
So I got some folks I'm working with right now. They own their house, but of course there's a couple of different scenarios. You know, maybe they own, or maybe you have someone that's buyers that are looking to buy a house. What is the process like for folks that are interested in buying, or they own and want to renovate?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think it just really comes down to meeting the client where they're at. So there's the client that wants to, you know, their kitchen is the heart of their home and they just want to make it beautiful. So we really work with them through the process of, I call it my roadshow day of, you know, we start at the office, pick cabinets, we go to pick backsplash, then we go to pick your countertops, right? And then we work with our designers to do all the cabinet layouts.
Okay, so essentially if like a buyer was coming in, they found a house that they were interested in putting an offer in, they could add on additional portion of money for the renovation, and then get that done, close the house, and then use that money towards the renovation.
The renovation, absolutely. And I think the good thing is like having somebody come in and say, this is going to be the ballpark for your project. Most people don't do multiple renovations, so you don't really know how much it costs, and there's a lot of variables within renovations, whether it's an older home, newer home, if it's on a slab in a crawl space, all those things that we can come in and give that ballpark.
Variables.
Yeah.
So you'll actually come in and kind of give an initial estimate,
consultation,
kind of giving a rough idea of, okay, are we completely out of the ball field here where we need to go deep under the house, or is it okay, we can like replace some cabinets and shift some things around, some countertops, and refresh the place?
Yeah, and just maybe we just paint the cabinets, right? And it just depends. Some cabinets you can, some you can't, right? And just using that historical knowledge to tell you what's feasible and where kind of the biggest bang for your buck is.
Okay, that's really super helpful. Okay, so we got our base. And listen, like when I make these for a party, I make way more.
Yeah.
So, you know, just, you know.
This
is just a little
snack.
teaser.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to give it a taste and let me know what you think?
Do a little pinky taste.
A little pinky taste. Oh yeah.
Delicious.
This is my grandmother's silver.
Beautiful.
I've really enjoyed incorporating some of my vintage stuff into my modern day living, just like you do with your houses. So we are going to essentially make deviled eggs. We're going to piece it together. I'll put this in front of you so it's easier, and we can go at it together. The Swedish spoons are awesome for this. I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts about, you know, is there anything that people don't expect or are surprised when they start renovating? Are there any kind of unique things that you find people don't expect when they start doing this kind of thing?
Yeah, I think, you know, in renovations, you're working on somebody else's work, right? And as much as we can do feasibility and have mechanical, electrical, and plumbing come in and see what we see, you know, not behind the walls, until you get in, you don't really know, right? Especially in older homes, you know, there's the old tube and knob that they've updated otherwise that you can see. But once you get in, then you're like, oh wow, we do need to update this. And with that comes time. We do have a lot of communication through. Any change orders are communicated prior. However, it's just kind of the nature of the beast, and I think that's what we enjoy, is that constant challenge, that constant like having to find solutions for new things. Our project manager has been doing this for 20 years, and you know, I feel like he says at least monthly of, well, I've never seen this before, but this is the solution I've come up with. And it always looks aesthetically pleasing. I know it's behind the walls and it's hard to invest the money into it, but you want to update it to meet current code and all those things.
You are right. Essentially, you have to kind of take the house for what it is.
Yep.
And if it has some things that need to be reworked, you got to rework them. But it's really awesome to hear how flexible you are and creative with solutions, because
you have to.
just with like buying a house without even doing a renovation, you know, I have to be able to adapt. And the same thing with yourself. Like, you need to be able to take what is unexpected when you open up a wall and be able to work with it.
Yeah, it has a history and you have to meet it where it's at.
If you had to say, what is maybe your favorite type of renovation to do right now, or what is, you know, what you guys specialize in the most right now? What is your ideal project or client?
I think, you know, kind of the bread and butter is the kitchen and bathroom, right? Especially those 80s homes that have the big jacuzzi tub with the jets that you can never really clean. So we do a lot of wet rooms where it's more of an open concept with a soaking tub. The things I enjoy the most are more of the challenges, right? The more historic homes that have to find creative solutions for to meet the aesthetic, but also meet the home's needs as well as the clients.
Chelsea's like, I don't want that easy project. Give me a challenge.
The lights on, but
it's like, okay, the easy projects are nice. Yeah, keep the lights on, but also challenge me some.
Challenge
me a little.
Make it fun.
Okay.
More fun.
Amazing. This looks so good.
It does look good.
I'm gonna put this in a sink and then take a quick breather and reassess if we need to move around at all.
All right.
These look amazing.
They do.
Of course, it's all about presentation.
Yes.
I love that about it. So we have some fresh chives that we can
a little garnish.
Top our little eggs off with and make them kind of cute.
Oh, beautiful.
You can also do paprika, do some bacon, kind of really whatever the flavor you're going for.
It's very springy.
It's
very
super springy.
Bright.
So what would you say is something that people probably don't know about Green Hill Contracting?
I would say that we were really born out of a need of our sister company, CQC Home. They do a lot of additions and luxury renovations where they had a lot of clients reaching out to them that just needed a pull and replace or just tile work and things like that. So we were able to build out of their foundation of the communication, the processes, the sub list, all those things, but then kind of meet the client's needs that wanted all those things, but didn't meet the scope that CQC would work in.
Okay, awesome. So you really found kind of a need in the market and fulfilled it.
1,000%.
But then are also being backed by a company that works with high-end clients and has been well established for 13, 15 plus years?
I think it was about 14. Yeah,
okay,
that's right.
Amazing.
So in the area for a long time, and also Durham native that build it from the ground up.
And also, can we mention woman owned?
That's right.
We love a lady in charge. Okay. Well, this looks amazing, and we can't finish up a little cooking show without trying said creation.
Yes.
So
thank you.
A little egg for us. Right before we eat it, you can let people know if they have an interest in reaching out to you to get a consultation. What's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah, so our website is greenhillcontracting.net. Also encourage you to look at all of our work. We have a big presence on social media. Our Instagram handle is green.hill.contracting, and you can see all of our previous work in there. We have a lot of before and afters and walkthroughs and process. If you want to get a consultation, it is free. Go onto our contact us form. It just kind of helps us get all your information, and then our project coordinator will schedule a call with me, and I'll walk through with you and just try to understand that vision, so that way we can give you a proposal.
All right, perfect. It's pretty easy. Fill out the form, check out social media. It's kind of the vibe nowadays. Well, cheers.
Let's try it out. Yeah.
Cheers to our little eggs.
There we go.
Oh my gosh.
Delicious.
I feel like I got it all over my face. Oh, so good.
Between the pickling and the horseradish, it's just like the perfect thing.
Right? And a little zing. Okay, I do have a napkin.
Thank you so much. Get off
Okay.
our lips.
And if any of you watching want the full recipe to either download, to cook at home, you can find all of the information for that down below. And I will see you in our next cooking video. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.